Caplin Bara was a capybara of profound and unshakable melancholy. His existence was a quiet, damp affair, conducted primarily within the soothing, sulfur-scented waters of Geothermal Soak 734. His days were measured not in hours, but in the subtle temperature shifts of the spring and the slow, meditative transit of the sun across the sky. His greatest ambition was to achieve a state of perfect, neutrally buoyant contemplation, a goal he was often on the precipice of attaining. This tranquil, if somber, existence was interrupted on a Tuesday by a stork. It was not a whimsical stork, but a courier from the Ministry of Existential Ratification, and it carried a waterproof, certified letter in its beak. The stork, with a sigh of professional weariness, dropped the letter onto the damp stone beside Caplin, got a signature on its waterproof clipboard with an ink-dispensing claw, and departed without a word. The letter was printed on paper that felt both infinitely dense and unnervingly translucent. The heading was stark: Notice of Provisional Existence. Caplin read the contents with a deep, wary sigh that caused the water around him to ripple gently. The notice, citing bylaw 743G, subsection delta, stated that his existential status had been flagged for review and, pending formal ratification, was to be considered provisional and non-binding. He was, in the eyes of the ministry, a metaphysical footnote, a bureaucratic Schrodinger's cat. He was not panicked. He was not terrified. He was, in the deepest core of his being, annoyed. His perfect soak was being threatened by an ontological clerical error. The melancholy deepened, but it was now a focused, purposeful melancholy. He would not be provisionally unratified. He would fight this. Not with passion or protest, but with the only weapon that had any currency in this universe: correctly filed paperwork. Heaving his damp, ponderous form from the spring, Caplin Bara journeyed to the grand archive of precedents and bylaws. For 3 days, he sat amongst towering shelves of legal code, his quiet sadness a perfect counterpoint to the library's dusty silence. He did not seek stories of heroism or philosophical treatises on the nature of being. He sought loopholes. He read subsections, cross-referenced appendices, and analyzed footnotes until his eyes, gentle and brown, were red with the strain of parsing bureaucratic syntax. And then, in a dusty tome titled Taxonomic and Taxable Entities, Volume 982, he found it, the key. The Ministry of Existential Ratification could debate his consciousness, his soul, his very capybara-ness into infinity. Those were subjective, unquantifiable metrics. But there was one thing the universe, in its infinite and tedious bureaucracy, could not ignore: a taxable event. Caplin Bara returned to his soak, no longer just a melancholy rodent, but a legal strategist. He began to draft his response. It was not a plea, but a formal legal brief. Notice of Provisional Existence, Case File Number 743G, Caplin Bara. To whom it may concern, at the Ministry of Existential Ratification, the party of the first part, heretofore referred to as I, Caplin Bara, is in receipt of the aforementioned notice. While I do not contest the ministry's right to review, I contend that my existential status is, and has always been, fully ratified, not through philosophical assertion, but through undeniable economic activity. 1. I am a consumer of resources. I occupy space within Geothermal Soak 734, consuming a quantifiable volume of thermally heated, mineral-rich water. I also, on occasion, consume yuzu fruit that falls into the water. These are goods. 2. I am a provider of services. My presence exudes an aura of profound tranquility. Tourists and other bathers often remark upon this calming influence. This depreciable aura of tranquility is an intangible asset that contributes to the general well-being and therefore the economic stability of the region. As I am both a consumer of goods and a provider of a depreciable, intangible service, I constitute a microeconomic entity. As such, I am by the very definition outlined in the Unified Commerce Code, Volume 34, Appendix C, subject to taxation. I have therefore taken the liberty of auditing my own existence for the previous fiscal year and have calculated my preliminary tax liability. Please find enclosed Form 882T, Declaration of Intangible Asset Depreciation, and a money order for 3 of yuzu fruits, representing my estimated tax burden. As a taxable entity, my existence cannot be considered provisional. To deny my existence would be to deny the tax revenue I represent, which would constitute a violation of the Ministry of Revenue's own foundational bylaw 1A. All that can be taxed must be taxed. I trust this clarifies the matter. I will be awaiting my formal tax receipt, which will serve as legal and binding proof of my ratified existence. Sincerely and taxably, Caplin Bara. He sent the brief along with the forms and the 3 slightly damp yuzu fruits via the same stoic stork courier. Then he returned to his soak and waited. A week later, the stork returned. It carried no letter, no notice. It carried a single, crisp, heavily stamped government form. Form 7B, Existence. Declaration of Taxable Existence. At the bottom, a box was checked. Status: Ratified. Caplin let out a slow, satisfied breath. The universe was once again in its proper, slightly miserable, and now officially taxable order. He closed his eyes, sinking a little deeper into the perfectly warm water. His melancholy was no longer provisional, it was a matter of public record. And in that, he found peace.